we jump in, I want to give a quick outline of what this lecture is going to be. First, I'll quickly rehearse the basic elements of a proposal. Then I'll discuss the steps to defining a problem. We'll think about finding the root causes of problems. And then finally, I'll spend a little bit of time talking about considering the audience for your proposal. So, let's jump in. So remember, there are 4 basic components to a proposal: identification and definition of the problem, a stated solution with clear, discrete steps or processes for implementation, a demonstration of feasibility, with feasibility meaning that the solution is practical to implement, and then finally a direct address of acceptability to the audience, meaning that it meets their needs and interests. We know that the first basic element of a proposal argument is to identify and define the problem you seek to solve. To define a problem, you want to answer 5 basic questions about that problem. 1, what is the stated problem? So you need to name the problem. 2, whom does the problem affect? So what are the immediate consequences of the problem and for whom? 3, what will happen if the problem is not solved? What are the long-term consequences of the problem? For whom? 4, are you persuaded that this problem exists and that it is exigent, meaning that it is urgent and needs to be solved immediately or as soon as possible? And then 5, does the proposed solution address the problem? This is where finding the root causes of problems will come in later. Let's use procrastination as an example to walk through the steps for defining the problem. What is the stated problem? Remember, this is where we name the problem. And instead of calling it, I keep putting things off until the last minute in favor of doing something else, we give it a name: procrastination. Whom does the problem affect? So we'll take this from my point of view as an instructor. So if I procrastinate preparing for lessons or grading, who's affected? I'm affected because I now have the psychological stress of knowing I'm not doing my job when I should be. You're affected because the quality of your educational experience is diminished if my procrastination has led me to be underprepared. It has a social effect on you as students and me as the instructor, since it affects our student-teacher relationship. What will happen if the problem is not solved? So what are the long-term consequences? I think here procrastination is a really good example because it has such a cumulative effect, right? The more you procrastinate, the more things pile up, and the more things pile up, the lower the quality of your work is going to be when you eventually try to do all the things you didn't do earlier. All right. To think through it, let's imagine if I procrastinated grading your essays to the point that it was finals week and I hadn't graded any of your assignments yet. That would be taking a psychological toll on all of you, I'm sure. It would certainly be taking a psychological toll on me. It would have a social effect, as I'm assuming you wouldn't have much respect or faith in me as an instructor by that point. It could have financial consequences for me when it comes time for you to review my performance and I perhaps lose my graduate instructor position. It would have financial consequences for you because you pay a lot of money for your classes and you wouldn't have gotten your money's worth. Then the next question, are you persuaded that this problem exists? Yes, I think we've demonstrated that it's a problem and that it's exigent. Again, remember that means that it's urgent and needs to be solved immediately or as soon as possible. I think the immediacy has been well demonstrated also, right? You're working within time constraints. Does the proposed solution address the problem? So here I'm going to segue into finding the root cause of a problem so that you can find a solution that really addresses the problem. Before you get too far into your proposal argument, I think it's useful to talk about what is causing a problem you've identified. It's easy to identify a problem and then just slap a solution onto it that doesn't get down to the root causes of that problem. So the problem we've identified is procrastination. So an immediate and obvious solution to that problem might be to just stop being lazy and do the work you know you need to do. But if it was that easy, it wouldn't be a problem. So proposing that you simply not procrastinate as a solution to procrastinating doesn't get to the root of the problem, and thus leaves the problem unsolved. The overall problem is that you, or I, currently lack the motivation to do the work we know we need to get done. Why might that be? Maybe you're overwhelmed by your workload and don't know where to start. Or you're not used to the looser structure of college. Nobody's managing your time for you anymore. Nobody's telling you exactly what you need to do and when. Due dates can feel really far off, which makes it seem like you have more time than you actually do. Or maybe you just don't fully understand what an assignment is asking you to do, and that's keeping you from getting started. Let's focus on being overwhelmed and not being used to managing your own time so much as root causes. So what sort of solutions might address that? One solution to feeling overwhelmed might be some sort of system for acknowledging small accomplishments and getting a sense of progress. For example, I make checklists to make my workload feel less overwhelming. When everything you have to do is just sort of swirling around in your head, it can feel like there's so much to do that you don't even know where to begin, or it can even feel like it's impossible to get it all done. Just the act of writing it out can alleviate that because it gets it out of your head and concretized in front of you. Then you pick something on the checklist to get done, and you get a feeling of accomplishment when you check that thing off the list, and every time you check something off after that. So it gets to the root cause, feeling overwhelmed, by providing a tangible representation of the progress you're making by chipping away at the list. Addressing time management may be as simple as creating a work schedule for yourself. That's what I've done to deal with this shift to working from home. I don't know about all of you, but I definitely feel somewhat as though I've come unstuck in time and space. So charting a schedule helps with that. Perhaps another way to address time management, especially given that procrastination is such a widespread issue, would be to contact administration with a proposal for providing classes or workshops in time management for freshmen at Penn State. The ultimate success of a proposal argument really hinges on its audience. Of the 4 basic components of a proposal, 2 of them deal directly with the audience: demonstrations of feasibility and the direct address of acceptability to the audience. Of course, audience is important also for the identification and definition of a problem and for stating a solution with clear steps. If you haven't made your audience care about the problem or considered their interest in the solution, you'll probably have lost them before you get to demonstrating feasibility or a direct address of acceptability. To sell an audience on your proposal argument, you need to think about what bothers that audience, what they desire, what they value, what matters to them, and what they believe. To think about audience more concretely, let's consider the following example.
Pocket Sky. Everyone at a certain point in their lives has had to deal with a lack of sleep, and for many people, it's an everyday problem. The invention you see on the screen is designed to help you overcome sleepiness. It's a kind of glasses, but with a special lamp instead of lenses. It affects the person the same way the sun does. A soft blue light naturally suppresses the production of melatonin in the body, the hormone that makes us want to sleep. After about 20 minutes of wearing Pocket Sky, you will forget about wanting to sleep. This invention is ideal for people who travel a lot and suffer from jet lag. Pocket Sky will help you wake in the morning and not to fall asleep in the evening, for example if you have to work a night shift. The device weighs only 12 grams and can be used even on the move, and is really compact, so it fits in your pocket. It costs $225.
Let's think about what this product says about our culture. This is a product pitched at a culture that values productivity over proper rest. Enough people aren't getting sufficient sleep that this product was considered profitable. It says something about what bothers us, namely that late capitalism has us all tired as fuck. It says something about our culture's desires. We want to get the feeling of adequate sleep while we continue to work ourselves to death as the wealth gap grows ever wider. What does this product say about individual users? If someone purchased it, what might we infer about them? The product is being marketed in terms of its contribution to work getting done, right? The video pitches the product to people who travel for work or work night shifts and notes that you can work late into the night and never get tired. So, at the very least, we know that someone who's buying this product isn't getting enough sleep. We can also infer that they don't see getting more sleep as a viable option, right? We know that productivity is more important to them than their physical health. We know that Jeff Bezos has a net worth over $100 billion. We know that they have at least $225. We know that they are adhering to societal norms that treat resting as a moral failure and constant productivity as the height of virtue. So, we can look at the marketing of the Pockets Guy as a sort of proposal. It's identifying and defining a problem. We're all tired, and Jeff Bezos has $170 billion. But we can't just stop working to get sleep. It then offers and explains a solution, the solution being the product itself, and the steps and processes being how the product works and then also purchasing the product. It demonstrates feasibility by going through several examples of how the product can be utilized and how much it costs to buy it. And it then makes a direct address of acceptability by identifying specific groups of people for whom the product would be useful and how.
The scale of $1 billion is really crazy. So let's say 1 grain of rice is equivalent to 100K, and 10 grains of rice would be then 1 million. Well, how much is a billion? That is $1 billion, where each grain of rice is worth 100K. Look how much rice this is, guys. That's crazy. I just bought you like a Lamborghini right here, and I didn't even notice it was gone. Here's a $5 million house in California, and oh look, I still have all this money.
Well, a lot of you guys asked me, well, how much does Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos have in terms of rice?
1 billion, Jeff Bezos has 122 of these, or 58 pounds of rice. If each grain of rice was 100K. Look how big this is, guys. I'm gonna show you the scale here. I'm gonna put a keyboard in just for fun. Look how deep that goes. That's insane. This is Jeff Bezos' new house that's $145 million in LA. And then, oh my God,